Well, a top Republican senator is now suing to block the government from continuing to pay most of the medical insurance premiums for members of Congress and their staff. This lawsuit is part of a move by Republicans to stop this sort of special treatment, as he sees it, for lawmakers. That senator is Wisconsin Republican Ron Johnson, and he's on the Budget Committee and joins me now. Senator, good morning. Good to have you here.
Good morning, Martha.
So the way the health care law was written originally, members of Congress and their staff was supposed to get on Obamacare. They were supposed to go through an exchange and change their health care policy, but then swept in a special decree that said, no, actually, you don't have to do that, right?
Well, not exactly. There's been some confusion. Let me describe the special treatment. The next wave of canceled policies will be those individuals that get their policies through their employer. That's tax-advantaged contributions, and when they have to buy their coverage on the exchanges, they're going to have to do that with after-tax dollars. Now, members of Congress and their staff will still lose their employer-sponsored care like those other millions of Americans, but they're the only Americans that when they go to the exchanges, their employer, the federal government, will be able to make a contribution to those plans that's pre-tax, it's tax-advantaged. That's a special treatment. That's what's unfair. That's what I'm suing to make sure that we overturn that ruling that gives them that special treatment.
All right. So, and that contribution essentially comes from the U.S. taxpayer. Is that correct?
Sure. But that contribution was always being made. I'm not quibbling with that. I'm talking about the special tax treatment of this, as well as, a very important concept of actually following the law. President Obama has got to stop issuing all these presidential decrees. If he doesn't like the law, he should come to Congress and they should change the law. This is one area where I think a member of Congress, myself, has got standing to actually take him to court to uphold the rule of law, which is a pretty important concept.
So what are you and your staff doing voluntarily?
Well, my staff is trying to follow the law and the rule as it's written. What I'm doing personally is I just went to Wisconsin, went to a broker, bought a policy there, and I'm not accepting the employer contribution. I'm not criticizing anybody who's trying to follow the law and those rules. This is really about presidential overreach, and it's also about making sure that members of Congress feel the same exact experience, the same pain and damage of Obamacare as the other millions of Americans, because right now, Senate Democrats are turning a deaf ear to all these canceled policies, all these increase in premiums, and only when those individuals, those members of Congress, start feeling the full pain of Obamacare will they actually be forced to act to repair the damage, limit the damage of Obamacare. All
right, well, we'll see how that goes with your lawsuit, because obviously it has ramifications as a possible precedent for some of the other executive overreach that some people have seen in the changes and delays to the law as it's gone through as well. But I do want to also ask you about the unemployment movement that's happening in the Senate today, and whether or not you are going to vote to extend unemployment benefits for 1.3 million Americans today. Will you?
Well, first of all, they call this emergency. They call it temporary. So at some point in time, 4 years into recovery, the emergency has to end, temporary has to end as well, as like Senator Coburn said, this isn't paid for. And, they actually have a way to pay for it. Senator Murray negotiated $22 billion more discretionary spending. If Democrats think it's so important, such a high priority to extend this unemployment benefits, and let's face it, we're all concerned about those individuals. We want to give them jobs. But if Democrats want to pay for this, they've got $22 billion of discretionary spending that they should apply toward this. The fact that they're not willing to do that shows they're just trying to politicize this issue, which is a real shame. We need to concentrate on getting our economy growing so that people actually have jobs and they don't need unemployment benefits.
Now, that's a very interesting point. So you're saying that in the existing budget bill that Paul Ryan and Patty Murray came up with, there's $22 billion in discretionary funds, and that the $6 million could come from that if they wanted it to, right?
Use that. That's your $22 billion, I guess, of mad money. Use it for that. We need to start prioritizing spending. We have got to stop mortgaging our children's future. Democrats apparently aren't concerned about our kids and grandkids. We are.
All right, Senator Ron Johnson, we'll see how it goes. Always good to have you here, sir. Thank you very much.
Stay warm.
You bet. You too.
20 minutes.